I don't even know why I am putting this out here, but I need to tell someone. My entire life imploded in the span of 3 weeks, and I am still trying to figure out what the hell happened. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. For context, I am a 38-year-old software developer. I've been married to Sarah for 12 years, and it hasn't been great for the last few. She is a corporate attorney, makes twice what I do, and never lets me forget it. We live in this overpriced house in a neighborhood I never wanted to move to because it was important for her career to have the right address. No kids. She was always too busy climbing the ladder, and honestly, I am grateful for that now. For the past year, I've been working remotely most days, but I like to get out of the house for lunch. About 6 months ago, I started going to this little coffee shop called the Bean Counter about 10 minutes from my house. It's nothing special. Just a cozy place with decent sandwiches and good coffee. That's where I met Elise. Elise was usually working the lunch shift. She was maybe 30, shoulder-length dark hair, intelligent eyes, and this smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. Not conventionally beautiful, but there was something captivating about her. The first few times, it was just normal waitress customer stuff, but eventually, we started talking more. She'd sit at my table during her breaks sometimes. She told me she was working on her master's in computer science, which is my field. We'd talk about programming, algorithms, blockchain technology, conversations I couldn't have with Sarah, who thinks coding is beneath her Harvard law degree. Elise was smart, like, scary smart. She asked questions about security protocols that made me go back and research stuff. I started looking forward to those lunches more than anything else in my day. Sarah was always working late anyway, so I started extending my lunches. I know what you rethinking, and yes, I knew deep down I was heading toward emotional affair territory. But after years of Sarah's constant criticism and being treated like a disappointing accessory to her perfect life, Elise's interest in me was intoxicating. About 2 months ago, things escalated. I was in the bathroom washing my hands when Elise walked in. She locked the door behind her, and before I could even process what was happening, she was kissing me. One thing led to another, and, well, you can guess what happened in that tiny bathroom. Afterward, I was consumed with guilt but also excitement I hadn't felt in years. It became a regular thing. Once or twice a week, always quick, always intense. We never talked about Sarah or what we were doing. It existed in this bubble separate from real life. Then, 3 weeks ago, I was making dinner. Sarah was working late, as usual, with the TV on in the background when I heard the words, "nationwide cryptocurrency scam," from the news. I glanced up to see Elise's face on the screen. The reporter was saying she was wanted by the FBI for questioning related to a $30 million cryptocurrency theft. They called her Elena Sorokina, not Elise. I dropped the glass I was holding. It shattered all over the kitchen floor, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, staring at her picture, trying to make sense of what I was hearing. The woman I'd been sleeping with, the woman I'd been confiding in about my marriage, my work, she wasn't who she said she was. And now the FBI was looking for her. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sarah came home around 11, complained about the broken glass I missed a piece of, and went straight to bed without asking about my day. As I lay there next to her, I realized 2 things. I was somehow involved with a potential federal criminal, and I had no idea what I was going to do about it. Tomorrow I'll tell you what happened next. This is only the beginning. The day after seeing Elise, or Elena, on the news, I went back to the Bean Counter. I am not sure what I expected. Maybe I thought it was all some bizarre coincidence or misunderstanding. The coffee shop was oddly quiet, and there was a "Help Wanted" sign in the window. The manager, an older guy named Jerry who usually worked the register, looked stressed. "Hey, is Elise working today?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Jerry gave me a strange look. "You didn't T here? She quit. No notice, nothing. Just sent a text Sunday night saying she wasn't T coming back. That confirmed it. I ordered a coffee I didn't T want and sat at my usual table, mind racing. I pulled out my phone and searched Elena Sorokina cryptocurrency FBI. Dozens of articles popped up, all saying basically the same thing. Elena Sorokina, age 32, was suspected of involvement in a sophisticated scheme that had siphoned approximately $30 million in various cryptocurrencies from investors. The FBI believed she was part of a larger operation but was focusing on her because she had allegedly created the algorithm that diverted funds from legitimate-looking investment platforms. I nearly choked on my coffee when I saw that part. Elise and I had talked extensively about blockchain security. She had asked me specific questions about vulnerabilities in certain protocols. I even sketched out some ideas for her on napkins, thinking I was helping with her master's thesis. Jesus Christ, had I unknowingly helped a criminal? I left the coffee shop in a daze and called in sick to work. I couldn't focus on code when my fingerprints might be all over a federal crime. I spent the rest of the day digging deeper into Elena Sorokina, finding only sparse information. She emigrated from Russia 5 years ago, had legitimate student visas, and had been enrolled in computer science programs at 2 different universities. That evening, Sarah came home earlier than usual. I was still on the couch, surrounded by empty beer bottles, laptop open to articles about the cryptocurrency scam. "What's this?" she asked, eyeing the mess. "Day drinking on a Tuesday? Real mature, David." I closed my laptop. I wasn't feeling well. So alcohol was the solution? She dropped her designer bag on the counter with a thud. I had to reschedule 2 client meetings because Javier needed me to step in on the Westlake merger. I am handling the work of 3 associates, and you here having a pity party because you have a headache. It's not a headache, I muttered. Then what is it? Because I need you to be an adult right now. The housekeeper quit yesterday. Probably because you keep leaving your dishes in the sink instead of the dishwasher like they asked 1,000 times. And now I have to find someone new, which I definitely don't have time for. This was so typical. Sarah didn't ask if I was okay or why I might be drinking in the middle of the day. It was all about how my behavior inconvenienced her. I suddenly had the wild urge to tell her everything. "Hey, Sarah, remember that coffee shop I go to? Well, I've been sleeping with one of the waitresses, and she might be an international criminal. Oh, and I might have accidentally helped her steal $30 million. But I didn't, Instead, I said, I'll find a new housekeeper." "No, you'll mess it up. I'll do it myself." She grabbed a bottle of wine from the fridge. "I am going to take a bath. Clean up this mess." After she went upstairs, I checked my phone. There was a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m. The park bench near the duck pond. Come alone." My heart nearly stopped. It had to be Elise. Or Elena, whoever she was. I debated whether to go. The smart thing would be to call the FBI tip line. But I needed answers first. I needed to know what I'd gotten myself into, how much trouble I was in. That night, Sarah and I slept with our backs to each other, as usual. As I stared at the wall, my thoughts weren't on my marriage or even the potential legal trouble I faced. They were on Elise. The way her eyes lit up when she talked about code, the feel of her hand on mine, the laugh that seemed so genuine. Had any of it been real? Or was I just a mark, a convenient insider who could help with her scheme? The next day, I told Sarah I was going into the office. Instead, I went to the park, arriving 30 minutes early. I sat on the designated bench, scanning every face, jumping at every sound. At exactly 2 p.m., a woman sat down beside me. But it wasn't Elise. "David," she said in a low voice. "Elena sent me. The situation is more complicated than you think." And that's when I realized I was in way deeper than I ever could have imagined. The woman who sat next to me at the park was in her mid-40s, elegant, with a faint Eastern European accent. She introduced herself only as Natasha. Elena is in danger, she said, looking straight ahead at the pond, not making eye contact. Not from the FBI, but from the people she worked with. What people? Who is she really? I asked. Natasha sighed. Elena was recruited by a Russian cybercrime syndicate when she was still a university student in Moscow. They recognized her talent. At first, she thought she was working on legitimate security projects, but by the time she realized what was happening, she was already implicated in their operations. So she's been a criminal this whole time? Even in America? She came here to escape them, Natasha explained. Changed her identity, tried to build a new life. But they found her about 8 months ago. Threatened her family back in Russia if she didn't help with one last job. 8 months ago. Right around when she started working at the bean counter. Right around when she started talking to me. So I was just part of her mission, I said bitterly. Get close to the local cybersecurity expert and extract useful information. Natasha finally turned to look at me. It started that way, yes. But Elena told me things changed. She said you were kind to her. That you treated her like a person, not an object or a tool. I laughed humorlessly. Yeah, I am sure she says that to all the guys she manipulates. Believe what you want, Natasha replied coolly. But Elena took a huge risk contacting me. She wants to make things right. She handed me a flash drive. This contains evidence of the entire operation, names, account numbers, communications. Elena encoded it. She said you would understand how to decrypt it using something you discussed together. I stared at the small device in my palm. And what am I supposed to do with this? The FBI is only seeing part of the picture. This will give them everything. But Elena needs protection before this goes public. These people will kill her the moment they suspect she's turned on them. Why me? I asked. Why not go to the authorities herself? Because she doesn't know who to trust. There may be people on the inside working with the syndicate. You're the only outsider who has the technical knowledge to verify what's south on that drive. I pocketed the flash drive. Even if I believe you, even if I help, what happens then? Elena negotiates a deal with the government. Witness protection, reduced charges. She testifies against the organization. And I am just supposed to be her knight in shining armor? I asked. Risk federal charges for someone who's been lying to me from day one. Natasha stood up. You're a grown man, David. Make your own choices. But ask yourself. Would the woman you knew, the one you connected with, want you to be harmed in this? Elena made sure that none of your fingerprints are on any of the actual criminal activities. She protected you. She started walking away, then turned back. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, Elena has to make other arrangements. I sat there for a long time after she left, the flash drive feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my pocket. When I finally got home, Sarah was waiting for me, arms crossed. Where have you been? I called your office. They said you never came in today. I froze. In all the chaos, I'd forgotten about my lie. I worked from the coffee shop, I said weakly. The coffee shop. Sarah's voice was ice. You've been spending a lot of time there lately, haven't you? Something in her tone made me uneasy. What are you talking about? She grabbed her tablet and pulled up a spreadsheet. I was reviewing our expenses for the accountant. You've been going to this bean counter place almost every day for months. Sometimes twice a day. She looked up at me, eyes narrowed. What's so special about this coffee shop, David? They have good coffee, I mumbled. $342.87 worth of good coffee last month alone? She scrolled through the spreadsheet. And look at this. You've been taking out cash withdrawals much more frequently. What's that about? I've been tipping Elena, generously. In cash. Because I've been falling for her. I like supporting local businesses, I said lamely. Sarah laughed, a cold, cutting sound. You know what I think? I think there's someone there you like seeing. Am I right? Is there some barista with a nice smile who makes you feel special? The accuracy of her guess hit too close to home. Don't be ridiculous, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. I am not an idiot, David. You've been distant for months. Coming home late, suddenly, working from coffee shops, taking sick days. She threw the tablet onto the couch. Just tell me the truth for once. Are you having an affair? I should have denied it. Should have manufactured some excuse. But with everything happening, the FBI, the flash drive in my pocket, the Russian syndicate, I didn't have the energy to construct another lie. Yes, I said quietly. The color drained from Sarah's face. Despite her suspicions, she clearly hadn't expected me to admit it. Get out, she whispered. Sarah, get out, she screamed, grabbing a decorative vase from the side table and hurling it at the wall. It shattered, sending ceramic shards across the hardwood floor. You pathetic, ungrateful, she was hyperventilating now. I carried us financially for years while you played with your little coding projects. I introduced you to all my connections. I brought you into my world. And this is how you repay me? Your world? I shot back, years of resentment suddenly bubbling up. You mean the world where I am just an accessory? Where nothing I do is ever good enough? Where you talk down to me in front of your friends and colleagues like I am some charity case you took in? Oh, please. You were a glorified IT guy when I met you. You'd still be fixing printers if it weren't for the job my father's friend gave you. We went on like this, dredging up years of grievances, until Sarah finally grabbed her keys. I am going to my sister's. When I come back tomorrow, I want you gone. After she left, I sat in the silent house, surrounded by the wreckage of both my marriage and whatever fantasy one been living with Elena. I took out the flash drive and turned it over in my hands. 2 explosive secrets, 2 women who lied to me in different ways, and 48 hours to decide what kind of man I really was. After Sarah left, I sat in our empty house, turning the flash drive over in my hands. Eventually, I decided to at least look at what Elena had given me. I set up an air-gapped laptop, an old one with no internet connection that I keep for testing security protocols. If there was malware on the drive, at least it wouldn't connect to my network. The drive contained a single encrypted file. No auto-run programs, nothing suspicious at first glance. The encryption was serious, military grade. I tried a few basic approaches but quickly realized the decryption key had to be something specific that Elena thought I would know. Then it hit me. During one of our conversations about cryptography, I had mentioned that I used personalized phrases as encryption keys, usually literary quotes that had meaning to me. Elena had asked what my favorite quote was, and I told her about a line from a relatively obscure sci-fi novel my dad had given me as a teenager. Truth is a prism with infinite facets, but lies are always transparent in the end. I typed in the quote. The file unlocked immediately. What I found made my blood run cold. Elena, or someone using her credentials, had documented everything. There were chat logs, emails, account details, code snippets, and transaction records detailing an operation far more sophisticated than what the news had reported. The cryptocurrency scam was just one part of a larger money laundering operation that involved shell companies across 3 continents. Most disturbing were the names, prominent figures in finance, tech, and even government who appeared to be either facilitating or turning a blind eye to these transactions. If this information was legitimate, it wasn't just Elena who would be in trouble. Very powerful people would be implicated. I spent hours going through the files, verifying what I could. The code signatures matched what had been reported in the technical blogs covering the scam. The transaction hashes aligned with the stolen funds. Everything I could check independently seemed to check out. But there was something else buried in the data. Evidence that Elena had built in a back door from the beginning. She created a way to track where all the money went while making it look like she was just following orders. She'd been gathering evidence for months. I was still processing all this when I heard a car in the driveway. I quickly shut down the laptop and hid the flash drive. It was only 11 p.m., too early for Sarah to return. Looking out the window, I saw an unfamiliar black SUV. I killed the lights and moved to where I could see who was approaching the front door. Two men in dark suits stood on my porch. They didn't ring the doorbell or knock. One of them appeared to be picking the lock. Panic surged through me. I grabbed my phone, the laptop, and the flash drive, then slipped out the back door. I made it to my car in the alley behind our house just as I heard the front door open. I drove to a motel on the outskirts of town and paid cash for a room. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about what Natasha had said. That Elena had protected me, made sure none of my fingerprints were on the criminal activities. But as I went through more files, I realized that wasn't entirely true. My IP address appeared in logs from when I helped Elena with code questions. Anyone looking closely would see the connection. I was compromised no matter what I did now. In the morning, I called Sarah, thinking I should warn her not to go home. She didn't pick up. I tried her sister, who told me Sarah was meeting with a divorce attorney and didn't want to speak to me. A divorce attorney? Already? I asked, stunned at the speed. What did you expect? Her sister snapped. That she just forgive you? She already suspected something was going on for months. She hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago. That hit me like a truck. She what? Don act surprised. The pie followed you to that coffee shop. Got photos of you with that waitress. Sarah was building a case for a divorce where she wouldn't have to split assets with a cheater. My mind raced. If Sarah had hired a pie, and that pie had photos of me with Elena. When did the pie give her these photos? I asked urgently. I don't know. A few days ago? Why does it matter? I hung up, my thoughts spinning. Sarah had known about Elena before the news story broke. She been planning to divorce me anyway. And if she had photos, and the FBI was looking for Elena, had Sarah turned over those photos to the authorities? On a hunch, I checked Sarah's location using our shared family tracking app, something we set up years ago and rarely used. It showed she was downtown, at the federal building where the FBI had offices. My stomach dropped. Sarah wasn't just meeting a divorce attorney today. I had hours at most before the FBI would connect me to Elena. There was no way Sarah would pass up the opportunity to paint me as an accomplice. It would give her everything she wanted in the divorce. I checked out of the motel and drove to a public library 2 towns over. Using their internet, I created an anonymous email account and composited a message with key details from the flash drive. I sent it to 3 journalists known for covering financial crimes and 2 FBI agents whose contact information was in the files. People Elena had apparently vetted and believed weren't compromised. Then I called the number Natasha had given me. I looked at the files. I said when she answered, "I need to meet Elena directly." There was a pause. That's not possible. It has to be. My wife had followed. She has pictures. She's at the FBI right now. Another pause, longer this time. The diner off Highway 16. 1 hour. Come alone, and make sure you not followed. I wiped down the library computer, drove through a series of random turns to check for tails, and finally arrived at the diner. A rundown place with more empty parking spots than cars. I sat at a booth in the back corner, ordered a coffee I didn't drink, and waited. 10 minutes later, a woman with short blonde hair, nothing like Elena's dark locks, slid into the seat across from me. But the eyes were unmistakable. "Hello, David," said Elena. "This is the final chapter of my story. Thanks to everyone who followed along and offered advice. I am writing this from a place I won't disclose, but I am safe for now." Elena looked different with the blonde hair, but her eyes were the same, intelligent, alert, with that hint of sadness I always noticed but never fully understood until now. "I am sorry for dragging you into this," she said quietly. Did you ever actually care about me, or was I just a convenient source of information? I asked, the question that had been burning inside me since I saw her face on the news. She looked down at her hands. It started as an assignment. But yes, I came to care about you. More than I should have. She glanced up. You were kind. You listened. You saw me as a person. Is that why you trying to take down your employers? Partly, she admitted, but mostly because I am tired of being owned by them. They threatened my mother and sister back in Russia when I tried to leave. They've been gathering evidence for months, looking for a way out that wouldn't get my family killed. And now they know they betrayed them. My family has been moved to a safe location, but the syndicate is hunting for me, and they eliminate anyone who might have information. That includes you. Those men at my house last night. She nodded grimly. Not FBI cleaners. They were there to make you disappear. The waitress brought over Elena's coffee, and we sat in silence until she walked away. I sent the information to journalists and FBI contacts, I told her. I know. I received the notification when the dead drop email was accessed. She sipped her coffee. It was the right move, but it accelerates everything. We don't have much time. I asked. I have a plan, but I need your help one last time. She slid a laptop across the table. There's one more piece we need to secure, the actual cryptocurrency. I built a hidden vault that only I can access, but I need someone to help me move it to the right place. The stolen money? You want me to help you escape with it? I couldn't keep the shock from my voice. Elena shook her head emphatically. Not for me. To return it. This laptop contains a program that will transfer the funds to an FBI-controlled wallet. Once they have the money, along with the evidence of who was really behind the operation, my bargaining position is much stronger. I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. Why not do it yourself? The access points are being watched. I need someone they aren't tracking as closely to initiate the transfer from a different location while I run interference from another. It has to be simultaneous. It sounded plausible, but after everything that had happened, I wasn't sure what to believe anymore. How'd I know this isn't another lie? I asked. Elena reached into her bag and handed me a burner phone. Call this number. It's my FBI contact. Someone they've been working with unofficially. Ask her anything you want. I took the phone and stepped outside. The woman who answered identified herself as Special Agent Torres. She confirmed that Elena, whose real name was actually Yelena, had been providing intelligence on the Russian syndicate for months. We couldn't publicly acknowledge her as an informant because of penetration concerns in our office, Agent Torres explained. But the information she's provided has been crucial. If she can return the cryptocurrency, it will go a long way toward a cooperation agreement. I went back inside, my mind made up. Help. What do I need to do? Elena explained the technical details. It was complex but within my capabilities. We would need to execute the transfer at exactly 3 p.m. from 2 separate locations. After this is done, you need to go straight to Agent Torres, Elena said. Tell her everything. Your cooperation will protect you from any charges. What about you? I'll disappear into witness protection, probably. New name, new life. Again. She smiled sadly. I am getting good at that. We finalized the details, and I was about to leave when she grabbed my hand. David, there's something else you should know. About Sarah. My stomach tightened. What about her? When I was gathering intelligence on the syndicate's American partners, I found something. Your wife's law firm handles transactions for several shell companies tied to the operation. Her name is on some of the paperwork. I stared at her in disbelief. Are you saying Sarah is knowingly involved in this? I don't know if she understands the full extent of what she's facilitating. But she's not just an innocent bystander. I thought you should know before you decide what to tell the FBI. I left the diner in a daze, the laptop tucked under my arm. Could Sarah really be connected to all this? It seemed impossible, but then again, I clearly hadn't known my wife as well as I thought. At 2:30 p.m., I set up at a library in a neighboring town. At exactly 3 p.m., I executed my part of the transfer. The program ran perfectly, moving millions in cryptocurrency to the designated wallet. I received a text from Elena S. Burner. Success. Go to Torres now. I drove straight to the FBI field office. As I walked through the doors, I saw Sarah in the lobby, talking animatedly with a man in a suit. She froze when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. Before I could answer, agents appeared on either side of me. "David Mitchell?" one asked. "Special Agent Torres would like to speak with you." Sarah's face contorted with rage. "Are you kidding me? He's involved with a federal fugitive. He should be arrested, not given a friendly chat." The agent looked at her coolly. "Ms. Mitchell, we'll finish taking your statement later. For now, please remain in the building." I was escorted to a conference room where Agent Torres was waiting with several other agents. For the next 6 hours, I told them everything: the affair with Elena, the flash drive, the men at my house, the money transfer. I held nothing back. When I mentioned what Elena had told me about Sarah's firm, Agent Torres exchanged glances with another agent. "We're already looking into Brennan and Walsh's involvement," she confirmed. "Several partners are persons of interest in our investigation." By the time I finished, it was past midnight. Agent Torres informed me that Elena had been safely taken into custody at a secure location. The cryptocurrency had been recovered. The evidence was being analyzed. "What happens now?" I asked. "You'll need to remain available for further questioning, but you're free to go for now. Don't leave the state." She handed me her card. "And Mr. Mitchell, you might want to find yourself a good lawyer." When I finally emerged from the interview, Sarah was waiting, her eyes red from either tears or rage, probably both. "How dare you?" she hissed. "You humiliate me with your waitress whore, and then you come here and try to implicate me in some conspiracy." "Is it true?" I asked simply. "Did you know what your firm was involved in?" She scoffed. "My firm represents hundreds of corporate entities. I don't track every transaction. But your name is on the paperwork." Something flickered in her eyes. Fear, maybe. "I signed thousands of documents." "That's not a denial, Sarah." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Let me make something very clear. If you try to drag me into this mess you created, I will destroy you. My father plays golf with 2 Supreme Court justices. My college roommate runs the largest financial news network in the country. Who do you think people will believe? The respected attorney or the cheating husband trying to save his own skin?" In that moment, I saw Sarah clearly for perhaps the first time in our marriage. The cold calculation, the absolute certainty of her superiority, the implicit threat in every word. "The divorce papers will be delivered tomorrow," she continued. "I suggest you sign them without a fuss. I am keeping the house, the investments, everything. Consider yourself lucky if I don't sue you for the emotional distress you've caused me." I should have been angry or devastated. Instead, I felt an odd sense of relief. "Goodbye, Sarah." 3 months have passed since that night. The FBI's investigation is ongoing, but several arrests have been made, including 3 partners at Sarah's firm. Sarah herself hasn't been charged yet, but Agent Torres tells me it's only a matter of time. They found emails suggesting she was more aware of the illicit activities than she claimed. Our divorce was finalized last week. Despite her threats, Sarah's position weakened considerably as the investigation progressed. We settled for a clean split. No alimony either way. Assets divided more or less equally. As for Elena, or Yelena, she's in witness protection now. Before she disappeared into her new life, she was allowed to send me a message through Agent Torres. Truth is a prism with infinite facets, but lies are always transparent in the end. I moved to a different state, started a cybersecurity consulting business. The FBI even throws some work my way occasionally, helping to trace digital financial crimes. Sometimes I think about Elena, wonder who she is now, where she's living. I don't regret helping her, despite everything. She was trapped in a life she didn't choose, trying to find a way out. In the end, I guess we both were. So that's my story. From boring suburban husband to unwitting accomplice in an international cryptocurrency heist to whatever I am now. Free, I suppose. Starting over at 38 wasn't in my life plan, but then again, neither was any of this. They say the truth will set you free. In my case, it was a complicated mix of truths and lies that eventually did the job.